This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon. 55 degrees at 3:40. I'm Lori Medden, and here's what's happening. Heavy rain tomorrow could cause flooding and drainage issues thanks to all the leaves. Live report in a moment from AccuWeather's Brian Thompson. The weather should be good for Marathon Sunday. The NYPD laying out its safety plans today. As early voting continues, a new poll is in on the New York City mayoral race, and it's barely changed since the last poll. A now Category 3 Hurricane Melissa is heading for the Bahamas after causing widespread destruction in eastern Cuba this morning. Authorities in Mississippi say 3 monkeys remain on the loose after a truck flipped over and they made a break for it. 1010 Winds AccuWeather says clouding up tonight with occasional rain and drizzle late ahead of the storm tomorrow. We're going to get that live update in just a moment. Winds News Time 3:41 from the Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Yeah, Lori, there is a reason we do this thing every 10 minutes. Last go around, we told you about a bad crash on the westbound BQE near the Williamsburg and the fire trucks that were surrounding it. And 10 minutes later, it's all gone. Westbound BQE, they've gotten all lanes reopened near the Williamsburg Bridge. But westbound BQE, yeah, it's still slow out of Queens from Broadway down to the Williamsburg. The eastbound BQE messy from the inbound Gowanus and 38th Street right on up to the Brooklyn Bridge. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and the tunnels. Citybound side of the George Washington Bridge, about an extra 15 on the upper, but 20 to 30 minutes on the inbound lower as the construction work being cleared has really made a mess of things. West side, easily the best way out of town. Northbound Deegan, best of what you've got out of the Bronx. Lincoln, it's about 10 minutes on the inbound ride. Outbound Lincoln Tunnel, no more than about 10 Holland. 30 minutes on the outbound go of it. The Newark Bay extension, better than the Skyway either way. Queensbound Throgsneck, best of it or worst of it out of the Bronx. The Bronx-bound RFK slowest, so the Whitestone either way, best play you've got. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Your commute could be more than just a little soggy tomorrow. Heavy rain is on the way that could cause flooding and other issues. For more on the storm, let's go live to AccuWeather's Brian Thompson. Brian.
Yeah, this is a potent storm that's going to be approaching Lori as we head into tomorrow. It's going to spread some rain into the area. We'll have a bit of rain and drizzle tonight into first thing tomorrow. Most of that will be on the lighter side. It's as we get later into tomorrow morning into the afternoon. That's where we'll see some heavier periods of rain come on through. And we could easily pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain in a short period of time. Some places will even see a little bit more than that before things wind down early tomorrow evening. And with those heavy rainfall rates at times, we are expecting street flooding, especially with the leaves coming off the trees with the gusty wind. A lot of times this time of year, that the volume of leaves coming off the trees in a storm like this can clog some of the storm drains and exacerbate some of the flooding issues. So things will wind down tomorrow night. Behind the storm, we'll still have some strong winds for Halloween on Friday, but it does look mostly dry. Lori?
Stay with 1010 Winds on 1010winds.com. We will continue to bring you up to date on the storm. Well, no rain in the forecast for Marathon Sunday. The blue finish line was painted in Central Park today ahead of the annual event, and the NYPD laid out security plans.
The NYPD has been gearing up for Sunday's 5-borough race in front and behind the scenes.
As always, there will be assets that you will see and others that you will not see.
Commissioner Jessica Tisch said social media will be monitored for any threats.
At this time, there are no known specific credible threats to this year's marathon.
Race officials say the forecast for Sunday looks just right for fast finishing times, but warns the 66% of first-timers to this race that the course is deceptively challenging. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Central Park.
As New Yorkers continue to cast their ballots during early voting, a new poll shows Zohran Mamdani continuing to hold on to a double-digit lead over Andrew Cuomo in the race for mayor. Quinnipiac University pollster Mary Snow says the survey shows Mamdani with 43%, Cuomo with 33%, and Curtis Lewa with 14%. It also looked at some breakdowns.
Cuomo is doing well when it comes to crime, when it comes to affordable housing. Mamdani dominates. Inflation, it's more competitive, but Mamdani is ahead when it comes to those likely voters where inflation is really one of the key issues.
6% were undecided. The poll really hasn't shifted all that much from the last Quinnipiac University survey from 2 weeks ago. While Cuomo picked up much of Eric Adams' support, it didn't move the needle for him. A Ridge, Long Island man is facing charges that he sexually attacked a woman in her own home in Holbrook.
29-year-old Jaworn Booker is accused of removing the window pane of the 74-year-old woman's apartment, going inside and raping the victim. Suffolk County Police Commissioner Kevin Catalina says Booker was staying in a neighboring apartment in Holbrook.
This individual was staying in that apartment complex, but at this time we can't say whether or not he knew the victim.
He says the victim called 911 after the attack and was rushed to the hospital.
To the victim in this case, I want to say how sorry we are for what you had to endure, and thank you for your strength.
The commissioner says Booker has a criminal history and faces charges of rape and burglary. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins, a 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Hurricane Melissa is now a Category 2 storm heading for the Bahamas after making landfall in Cuba as a Category 3 earlier today. Widespread damage is reported on the eastern half of Cuba, where hundreds of thousands of people remain evacuated from their homes. Dozens are reported dead in Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. Christopher Box owns a restaurant in Kingston, Jamaica. He rode out the storm.
This morning was a mixed bag. It was feelings of relief for, I think, a lot of people in Kingston, but also juxtaposed with feelings of horror, just with the videos that's coming up from everywhere else in the island.
A hurricane warning is now posted for the southeastern and central Bahamas. A new report finds that rising global heat is now killing one person a minute around the world. That's according to the 2025 edition of the Lancet Countdown on Health and Climate Change. And that report comes as another heat wave hits Southern California.
It's hot and windy here on Tuesday. Downtown LA, right near Dodger Stadium, where the World Series is being played in the evenings, hit 97 degrees. That is an all-time record for October 28th. The previous record was 94 degrees, set in 1931. This region has one more day of high temperatures and Santa Ana winds before a bit of a cool-off. But for now, the fire danger is high here. Firefighting resources have been pre-deployed in case anything breaks out.
It's correspondent Alex Stone. A Paris prosecutor says 2 suspects in the Louvre jewel heist have partially admitted to their part in the crime and are believed to be the men who forced their way into the museum. They face preliminary charges of theft committed by organized crime and criminal conspiracy. The announcement came as French police acknowledged major gaps in security at the Louvre, telling lawmakers that aging systems and slow-moving fixes left weak seams at the museum. We have an update to a story we told you about yesterday on 1010 Wins involving a truck that flipped over. It had monkeys inside. Officials from Tulane University say 3 monkeys remain on the loose this afternoon. Initial reports said the monkeys were dangerous and infected with various diseases, but Tulane officials later said they are not infectious. An Alaska nonprofit is on dog-saving duty after the recent flooding.
Jackie Lang and 2 other teachers stayed in Kipnuk after Typhoon Halong's floodwaters destroyed 90% of the village. She's been rounding up dogs the hundreds of evacuees had to leave behind.
A lot of these house dogs, they couldn't have survived outside.
Lang has been begging National Guard members and other pilots to fly the dogs to the nearest animal shelter 100 miles away.
And I said, can you take this? He goes, is there a dog in there? I said, there's 7.
A few dogs have already been reunited with their owners.
That's correspondent Michael Wallace. It's a number that was generated by AI, and it's also real. Artificial intelligence giant NVIDIA has become the first company worth $5 trillion. The value of the company alone is now worth more than the GDP of every country on Earth, except the United States and China. Just 3 months ago, NVIDIA was worth a mere $4 trillion. 2 federal prosecutors have been suspended by the Justice Department after they described the January 6th attack on the Capitol as a mob riot.
Sources tell ABC News the 2 veteran prosecutors were locked out of their government devices and put on leave after they filed a sentencing recommendation in the case of a man named Taylor Toronto. He was among those pardoned by President Trump, having taken part in the January 6th attack. but he was also separately convicted of firearms and threat charges dating to 2023. It's in that case that the two prosecutors told a judge that Toronto had been part of the, quote, mob of rioters that attacked the Capitol in 2021. The prosecutor's suspension came just hours after that sentencing memo was filed. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Remember this one? It's music to the ears of the company that just bought AOL. That story's coming up next. But first, Wins News Time 3:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Well, here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. We see trouble on the Northern State Parkway. Got an eastbound breakdown in the right lane over at Round Swamp Road. That's got you backed up all the way to South Oyster Bay Road. Long Island Expressway, it's sluggish out of Queens out through Glen Cove Road. And again, getting past the Seaford Oyster Bay. The Southern State Parkway looks like an eastbound crash after Grand Avenue. Makes a mess all the way back towards the area of Fletcher Avenue. And then again, more trouble from Merrick Avenue all the way to the Seaford Oyster Bay. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. About 20 minutes on the upper level. Inbound lower is better. The construction's finally gone. West Side Highway, yeah, it's sluggish out of the 90s, but everything else is worse. Lincoln, 15 to 20 minutes in. Outbound Lincoln, 20 from 11th. You want 9th. Holland, you don't want that. 30 to 40 minutes out of town. Skyway, the best of it either way. Newark Bay Extension, that's going to be a better ride for you in either direction. The Whitestone Bridge, that's going to be a slow ride either way across the Upper East. Bronx bound Throgs Neck, Queens bound RFK, those options work out better. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Now let's get a check of your AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
A fair amount of clouds over the city, Long Island, most nearby suburbs right now, Lori, but north and west of the city, still some areas seeing a decent amount of sun. Parts of the Hudson Valley, northern parts of New Jersey, north of I-80, a few spots still seeing a decent amount of sun, but it is going to be clouding up into tonight. We will start to have some occasional rain and drizzle, especially late tonight, a low 50. Then a windy day tomorrow as we'll have rain much of the time. It is going to become heavy later in the morning into the afternoon. We'll have high temperatures around 60 degrees. Watch for flooding on low-lying and poor drainage areas as that rain comes down harder. And it could be a rough evening commute tomorrow with some of that heavier rain. But the rain ends early tomorrow night. There will be some clearing late, low 52. We're back to some sunshine on Friday for Halloween. It looks mainly dry. Just be ready for some strong winds. Winds could still gust over 40 miles per hour. High 57. A blustery, cool day Saturday with a mixed clouds and sun and a high of 57. Mostly cloudy and 55 right now in Midtown. We're going down to 50 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's Weather Center. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Do you still have an AOL account? You are far from alone. AOL is now owned by an Italian business which calls it an iconic brand that has stood the test of time.
AOL recently shut down its dial-up internet division, but the company still offers a service for people who want that easier experience of using the internet. And that's not a small number of people, roughly 30 million by AOL's count.
That's correspondent Ian Schur.
1010 Wins.
Gotta know what's happening in my city.
A news source that you trust. You're my favorite.
I think it's good to know what's going on in the world. 1010 Wins.
On 92.3 FM.
Clouding up tonight. We'll see some rain and drizzle late, low 50 degrees. And then we have that storm moving in tomorrow. Windy and rain. We could see 1 to 2 inches of rain that could cause flooding. Right now it's 55 degrees. Now Bloomberg Money Watch.
Well, the Fed may have lowered rates today, but Fed Chair Jerome Powell just said a December interest rate cut isn't set in stone, and investors aren't happy about it. It's caused a mixed bag on Wall Street with just minutes to go before the closing bell. Both the Dow and S&P down slightly, but the NASDAQ is still up, led by stocks like NVIDIA, the company making history as the first to hit a $5 trillion valuation. Kraft Heinz also lowering its sales outlook today. The company says it's facing one of the worst consumer sentiments in decades as more people steer away from processed foods. I'm Monica Ricks, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
We're going to get an update from AccuWeather's Brian Thompson in just a moment about the storm expected tomorrow. Could bring a couple of inches of rain. But as we look ahead to tonight, cloudy and breezy this evening, we may see a little bit of rain and drizzle, especially late. We're going down to 50 degrees. Right now it's 55 degrees. Cloudy here in the city. More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Angela Loria is our service aide. Kyle McMorrow is at the editor's desk. I'm Lori Madden.
all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. 55 degrees and cloudy now at 4 o'clock. I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening. AccuWeather says you'll definitely want to pack the heavy rain gear before you head out tomorrow, because by the time you get off from work or school, you're going to need it. They got the potential for flooding rains tomorrow night. Also, the potential for your child's school bus ride to get compromised, and it has nothing to do with the weather. The city and the bus companies have agreed upon a measure that moves into the direction of a new contract, but a special panel which needs to stamp it is saying not so fast. They got a big meeting tonight. A Brooklyn man gets 18 years for killing another man at a NYCHA complex. The victim trying to protect his teenage daughter who had been attacked by the now convict and his partner. Delivery vendors want the city to pass a set of bills that would make ICE go away, or at least melt it down some. They say they don't want to walk around on pins and needles worrying about immigration issues, wondering when today is going to be my ICE day. And have you heard this in your house? 6-7. We can't tell you what it means, but it's now the word of the year. Who knew? AccuWeather says tonight, cloudy skies, breezy with a late rain coming through. We'll drop down to a low near 50 degrees. Wins News Time 401. And from your Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com, Traffic Center now is to where you need to go. Here's Greg Wright.
Well, here is what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound, George, about an extra 15 to 20 minutes on the upper level. Lower is better. West Side Highway right now, that is going to be a slow ride out of the 90s, but still the best of it getting you out of town. Lincoln Tunnel, it's about 10 minutes in. Outbound side of the Lincoln Tunnel, no more than 10 to 15. More than 15 at the outbound Holland, 30 to 40, in fact. And the Newark Bay Extension, that's going to treat you better either way. RFK Bronx bound, Whitestone Queens bound, very slow. The Throgs Neck is turning into the better ride across the Upper East River. Citybound Midtown Tunnel, Brooklyn bound, Brooklyn Bridge loaded up across the East River, and the Southern State in Nassau getting worse, getting you home. Eastbound Southern State Parkway very tough from right around Corona Avenue to Baldwin Road with a crash, and then more company getting you out towards Merrick Avenue. The eastbound Northern State Parkway at Round Swamp Road, you got a breakdown in the right lane. You're slow from South Oyster Bay Road. Long Island Expressway just slow enough to frustrate you out of Queens all the way on back towards the area of routes 106 and 107. The Garden State Parkway, still a southbound mess coming down towards exit 100 with a rollover, knocking out at least one lane. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Be forewarned, everybody. AccuWeather says today is going to seem like a cakewalk compared to what's going to happen here tomorrow. And actually, it'll start showing up tonight in the form of light sprinkles. Before it's all over, we get a gully washer out of the sky tomorrow, and it'll most likely bring some flooding. Let's get the full scope of it all now. AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson joining us with the very latest.
Yeah, Larry, after we've had fairly quiet weather for a lot of the last week or so, we are going to see a round of some heavier rain come through tomorrow, the potential for some flooding. Most of any rain that falls tonight, and the best chance for that rain is going to be late tonight. That's going to be on the lighter side. Probably not a lot of heavy rain even into the morning commute tomorrow, but shortly after that, later into the morning, into the afternoon, that's where we expect the heaviest rain to come on through. A widespread 1 to 2 inches of rain. Some places will see more than that. And with a gusty wind, that's going to be knocking a lot of the leaves off the trees. Those could clog some of the storm drains and cause additional flooding issues, especially in low-lying and poor drainage areas. But the good news is it's a fast-moving system. The rain ends early tomorrow night, and it dries out for Halloween, but it is going to stay windy right on through Friday. Larry?
Thank you, Brian. And now to the school dilemma, or at least the effort to keep it from being a dilemma. Talking school buses here. The city's been talking with the bus companies, as you know, that transport our kids to and fro. There's been a back and forth over a 5-year contract. But while the city and the bus companies agreed to a contract extension during a meeting last night, the deal isn't done. Not until the city's panel for education policy, or PEP, signs off on it. They've got a meeting starting in about 2 hours. This panel is made up of Eric Adams appointees. Strangely enough, though, and in an unusual act of defiance against Adams, they're holding off on rubber stamping the thing, hoping to rebid the contracts, which they say would be better for the kids, but don't compromise driver protections. That's what they're going for. They could vote for an extension beyond a Friday deadline to get it done. If not, we could be back to square one, everybody. It is for that reason the school's chancellor has everybody on standby to figure out alternative means of school transportation. Stay tuned for that one. Also tonight, a follow-up to a story we told you about where a years-long investigation revealed an alleged ID card scheme involving workers with the LIRR.
I'm outraged.
The head of the MTA, Jano Lieber, is is not holding back on his thoughts of what should happen to the 36 people accused of using duplicate ID swipe cards to appear they were working when they were not.
I'm especially outraged the idea that there were supervisors who were conspirators.
LIRR President Rob Free says employees were disciplined and some quit.
We condemn this. We took employees out of service right away without pay. We disciplined them up to 9 months. There were demotions associated with this.
Right now, a total of how much was paid out for non-work is not known. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins, on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Stiff punishment today for a Brooklyn man for killing a man who was defending his daughter. Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez, his 33-year-old Waukee Bullock of Crown Heights, got 18 years. That's for his role in the death of 43-year-old Philip Scarlett. They say Scarlett died while protecting his teenage daughter from two armed men. Another guy, 29-year-old Rashawn Brown, got 15 years in prison, 5 years probation. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of manslaughter, but Bullock got convicted of murder. Bullock and Brown confronted the victim, Mr. Scarlett, at the Kingsborough houses in January 2019. They say Scarlett was waiting on his daughter when he heard her screaming. Bullock and Brown, apparently armed and wearing masks, had grabbed her. Scarlett pulled his daughter away from them and pushed her into an apartment to safety, shielding her from the man. And they say that's when they grabbed him, dragged him down a staircase, and shot him. After weeks of last week's ICE crackdown, I should say, on Canal Street, street vendors and food delivery workers now teaming up and pressing the city council for a package of bills to make that ice melt and go away. That is, protect them and make life easier for them.
Some street vendors and delivery workers are afraid to work these days. Guadalupe Sosa is a vendor in Harlem.
The fear of getting a ticket or getting your stuff taken away by the department, now you have to fear that you don't even know who's surrounding you.
She doesn't have a permit because of what she calls red tape and a backed up system. Mohammed Atia is with the Street Vendor Project.
Brutal attacks on our communities is basically the consequences of failed government.
They say their problems would be solved if the council passed several street vendor reform bills. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Meantime, police are looking for the guy who's going around robbing street vendors. There's surveillance footage of him on our website. One of his earlier hits happened on September 8th when a 29-year-old vendor was working near East 18th and Church over in Prospect Park South. Trouble shows up, took some merch, and then decided it was free. When the vendor asked, what's up with that? You want to pay for that? Says he pulled out a gun and threatened the guy before hightailing it on Church. All this over some Cheetos and M&M's, bro? Really? In the latest strike, cops say about 4:30 in the morning, a 23-year-old food vendor was targeted in front of 1461 Nostrand in Flatbush. Same MO, but this time the guy also took about $80. They believe it's the same guy. If you recognize him from the video, our website, 1010wins.com, they want you to call Crime Stoppers at 800-577-TIPS. All right, does anybody know what 6-7 means? The kids are using it all over. Well, we got a secret for you. It doesn't mean anything at all. Not a thing. Believe it or not, though, that thing will now, it's the word of the year.
If you're walking through the hallways, chances are you hear someone screaming this.
6-7.
6-7. 6-7. It's the slang word, and dictionary.com says it's the 2025 word of the year, which some parents can't wrap their head around.
I honestly don't know what it means. I asked him and we try to figure it out together, but we don't know.
But kids are on board.
I say it, I barely say it. I say it like one time a day and then I'm just done.
It doesn't have a concrete meaning, but it's here to stay.
6-7.
Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Port Richmond, Staten Island.
So old school parents, let's get together here and freak them out, okay? When they yell 6-7, why don't we yell 3-8? They won't know what it means. We won't either, but hey. All right, second shift. Let's see what the road home looks like this afternoon. It's news time 4:11 now. And from the Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center, getting you where you need to go. Here is Greg Wright.
We had a bad ride getting you home through New Jersey. It looks like a rollover here on Route 3 westbound right as you get past Clifton Commons and getting out towards Bloomfield Avenue. Westbound side of Route 3, it's an absolute crawl from before Route 17 out of Rutherford all the way out through Clifton at this point. Eastbound side of Route 3 jammed up with rubbernecking and emergency vehicles right off the split for Route 46. Again, multiple lanes lanes are shut down on Route 3 westbound over at Bloomfield Avenue. 46 overall, going to treat you a whole lot better in either direction. Westbound side of 24 getting on to 287 northbound, right where they merge. You got a crash, and everybody is suffering. 287 northbound is slowed out of Morristown to boot. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound side of the George, good enough to the upper and lower. The construction work no longer causing an issue. The West Side Highway, yeah, it's a bit slow out of the 90s on up, but everything else is worse. Northbound Deegan, best of what you've got out of the Bronx. Lincoln, it's about 10 minutes in. Outbound Lincoln, 20 plus from 11th. Stay with 9th. Holland, half hour out of town, so you're going to be staying there for a while. The Skyway is slow either way. The Newark Bay extension, that treats you better in either direction once you get to and from the Holland on the Jersey side. Greg Rice, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
And now your AccuWeather 4-day forecast. It's a wet one here over the next couple. Meteorologist Brian Thompson with this live report now.
Yeah, Larry, especially tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with rain and some heavy rain at that. But tonight it is going to be cloudy up with occasional rain and drizzle, especially late tonight. We'll get down to a low near 50. The breeze is going to pick up tonight. We'll have a gusty wind tomorrow, and we'll have rain throughout much of the day. Now, the heaviest rain will be focused late in the morning, closer to midday and into the afternoon hours. So we'll have a high close to 60. And certainly watch for flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas. Again, this rain's going to be coming down hard. We'll likely pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain in the span of 6 to 8 hours. And that certainly will be enough to cause some flooding, probably causing some issues into the evening commute as we head through tomorrow as well. The rain ends early tomorrow night, then it clears out, low 52. So Halloween on Friday looks mainly dry with some sun. We'll have some strong gusty winds, still gusting over 40 miles per hour, a high of 57. Breezy and cool Saturday with a mix of clouds and sun, high 57. And it looks good for the marathon Sunday. Some sun, highs in the 50s. Maybe a bit of a breeze, but nothing that strong. 55 degrees right now. It's mostly cloudy in Midtown, or going down to 50. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, here's somebody who is really, really into Batman. Somebody bought one of the original costumes from the TV show for nearly $1 million. That's a pretty cool grip for a leotard.
Holy understatement, Batman.
Yes, it is. Heritage did a classic TV memorabilia auction last weekend. Batman's original suit, along with Henry Winkler's leather jacket. You know, from Happy Days, you had Don Adams' shoe phone from the old Get Smart. Remember Get Smart? You know, the private eye with all of the gadgets. Well, that fetched about $3 million altogether there. Batman and Robin outfits were worn by Adam West in the late 60s. They also had a Joker outfit worn by Cesar Romero. That sold for $212,000. They had the Penguin's costume, Catwoman, and other character costumes also sold at a premium. Tell you what, the Batman boomerang, they called it the Batarang. Somebody bought that for $150,000 even. Well, the guy who sued and who used to be the hate crimes chief here in New York, who got fired last year, now suing the mayor and his administration, saying he was subjected to a hostile work environment.
In the lawsuit, the former director of the mayor's hate crimes prevention unit says Mayor Adams and other members of the administration committed those very acts. Hassan Navid was fired from his job in April of last year. In a statement, a spokesperson for the mayor says Navid was let go for poor job performance, not because of identity, religion, or views. In the lawsuit, Navid says the mayor compared pro-Palestinian protests to KKK rallies. It says members of the administration used anti-Muslim references after the Hamas October 7th attack on Israel. Juliet Papa, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Out of L.A., talk about timeliness. A Hollywood tour guide has stumbled upon the final resting spot of Frankenstein's bride.
Just in time for Halloween,
The Bride of Frankenstein.
the discovery of a grave containing the remains of Elsa Lanchester, who played the Bride of Frankenstein in the 1935 movie. Scott Michaels, founder of Hollywood's Deadly Departed Tours, says he came across the marker in a rose garden under the actress' married name, Lawton. He unveiled it on what would have been her 123rd birthday. Until now, movie historians believed Lanchester had been cremated after she died in 1986, and her ashes spread at sea. Deborah Rodriguez for 1010 wins.
I couldn't get past Deadly Departed Tours. Lanchester's husband, Charles Lawton, by the way, starred in classics like The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Mutiny on the Bounty, for those who remember that far back. Well, the NBA says embattled Miami Heat star Terry Rozier will not be getting a paycheck while he's in timeout over that gambling thing we announced last week. He's up on gambling-related charges in 2 separate indictments, along with Portland coach Chauncey Billups and nearly 3 dozen other people. The Fed says he conspired with others to help them win bets based on his performance. They say he threw a March 2023 game when he was with the Charlotte Hornets. Got the whole league now trying to figure out how to handle time-sensitive injury reports going forward. Rozier gets paid about $27 million, paid in installments, but they're holding it pending the outcome of this legal case. President Trump's granddaughter is making her LPGA debut next month.
18-year-old Kai Trump is number 461 in the American Junior Golf Association girls ranking. She'll play for the University of Miami next year. She announced on X she's received a sponsor's exemption to play in the LPGA's Annika tournament in Bel Air, Florida in 2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to teeing up and competing with the best players in the world.
Kai Trump has more than 6 million followers on social media, an audience the LPGA wants to tap into.
Now we're heading back to the White House, and I'm looking forward to playing golf with Grandpa tomorrow.
She is the oldest daughter of Donald Trump Jr. and Vanessa Hayden. We're on the way to headlines. So it probably won't make your commute any easier, but it sure will make it sound good. Make the switch to All News 92.3 FM, powered by 1010 Wins.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
55 and cloudy is what we'll give you here at 420. I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening. We're in the Weather Center this hour, where we've been all day, really, to get you ready for what's expected to come through here tomorrow. AccuWeather says we're in for quite a rain event. Stand by a minute. Won't be long before Election Day now. Early voting well underway. Quinnipiac University out with a new poll showing Democratic nominee Zoran Mamdani up 10 points now over Andrew Cuomo. The annual Village Halloween Parade is taking shape, and the NYPD taking steps to make sure that Halloween Goonies will be the only thing to spook the Big Apple and not a criminal element. In Central Park, the blue line has been painted and the race is set. At the New York City Marathon this weekend, jumping off this Sunday at 8 a.m., athletes from over 150 countries will be here. And Daniel Radcliffe returning to Broadway in Every Brilliant Thing. We'll have details on that coming up on 1010 Wins Entertainment. AccuWeather says cloudy skies on this Wednesday evening. Breezy with a late rain coming through. Drop to a low near 50 degrees. Wins News Time, 421. And from the Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com traffic center now, getting you where you need to go tonight. Here's Greg Rack.
Now, your ride on the southbound Bronx River Parkway out of Westchester and into the Bronx, it's gone up in smoke. You got a car fire on the southbound Bronx River Parkway at Allerton Avenue. You got a couple of right lanes out, and you got a mess all the way on back towards the Westchester line. The Hutchinson River Parkway, that's no parking lot, or that's no picnic. You got a parking lot, in fact, on the Hutch either way to the drawbridge, which is up, to get some boats through. So 95, the better option either way through the Bronx. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and the tunnels. City bound, the George Washington Bridge, good enough to the upper and lower. The west side, yeah, it's sluggish out of the 70s on up, but everything else is worse. Northbound Deegan, best out of the Bronx. Lincoln, 20 minutes in, 20 to 30 out from 11th. 9th is better. Holland isn't. It's 30 to 40 minutes back to Jersey. And on the Jersey side, the Newark Bay, the better play either way. Brooklyn bound Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn bound Battery Tunnel, City bound Midtown Tunnel, either way on the RFK and Whitestone. Everything very, very tough for you at this hour. We go over to Nassau, the eastbound side of the Northern State Parkway, very slow from at least South Oyster Bay Road all the way on out towards Round Swamp Road, where you still have some trouble knocking out the right lane, and you're single file on the eastbound Northern State in the left lane. East of routes 106 and 107, the Long Island Expressway does better. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
And we are back to watching the skies tonight as the early rains from what could be quite a storm begin to trickle into the area. AccuWeather says it'll start with a drip or drop or two, but it's going to rain buckets tomorrow night. Meteorologist Brian Thompson in the Weather Center now with more. Brian?
Yeah, just a little bit of drizzle or a little bit of light rain around as we head through tonight, Larry. We really don't expect too much in the way of rain. The main storm system for what is heading our way for tomorrow is still way down in the Tennessee Valley. So still a lot of the main rain with that is still a ways away. But as that moves northeastward, we are going to see the rain pick up, especially after the morning commute tomorrow. Probably going to be a damp, wet morning commute tomorrow. But the rain not really that heavy, and so we get later on into the morning, into the midday and afternoon hours. That's where we'll see some heavier rain come through. And just in that span from late in the morning through the afternoon into the early part of the evening, we'll likely pick up an inch or two of rain across much of the tri-state today. Some places could pick up more than that, and that'll be enough to cause some flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas. But this storm is a fast mover, and by tomorrow night, the rain will be winding down. But the wind is going to stay with us right on into Halloween on Friday, even as it dries out. Larry?
Thank you, Brian. Stay with 1010 Winds and AccuWeather for your updates. Well, with early voting well underway, less than a week out from Election Day, Quinnipiac now is out with a new poll showing Democratic nominee Zoran Mamdani up 10 points over Andrew Cuomo. That poll has Mamdani at 43% now, Cuomo at 33%, Curtis Lewa at 14%. Poll Assistant Director Mary Snow says respondents also weighed in on what issues matter the most.
Cuomo is doing well when it comes to crime, when it comes to affordable housing. Mamdani dominates. Inflation, it's more competitive, but Mamdani is ahead when it comes to those likely voters where inflation is really one of the key issues.
Yeah, when you look at birthday candles, Mamdani leads with voters 18 to 49, Cuomo leading with people 50 and over. Though it's a little more competitive there, with Sliwa also picking up support in those age brackets. NYPD making plans to keep marchers and onlookers safe at the annual Village Halloween Parade, which is always fun.
There were a record number of marchers last year. The crowds swelled to over 1 million. So get ready and get there early for the 52nd annual Village Halloween Parade. According to NYPD Chief of Patrol Philip Rivera,
our street closures will go into effect around 4 p.m. The route begins for marchers at Canal Street and 6th Avenue. That's the formation area. It goes all the way up until 15th Street.
The parade begins at 7 p.m. The theme, potluck, as in bring something for the feast. So, Chief, first of all, tell me about your costume.
I'm wearing it right now.
Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
I know that's right. And now Bloomberg Money Watch. Here is Monica Ricks.
Larry, the Fed's rate cut today's market rally short. The Dow and S&P both closed down today, but the Nasdaq scored another record day, up 0.5%, fueled by a spree of AI deals. Google's parent company Alphabet was one of them. The company just reported higher